for educational and entertainment purposes only. Did you know our country is ruled by the District of Columbia? Curious to know your thoughts in the comments section. And this is not propaganda.
So our country is ruled by the District of Columbia. Well, who's Columbia? Well, we walk over there to the Capitol building, and there's Columbia perched on top. Well, we walked into the Capitol building, and there's the original sculpture that the one on the roof was made from, right there. And we go into this is in the visitor center. We go into the movie theater place there when they give you a little movie on the history of the making of the Capitol building, and it starts off by calling it the Temple of Liberty. And I turned to my wife, temples are for gods. What God? Well, we just passed her in the hallway. Who is she? Who is Columbia? She is known as the Queen of Heaven. All throughout the scriptures, all throughout ancient history, throughout many cultures, she has many names. Semiramis being one of them. Ishtar, from which we get Easter. Isis, Columbia, Liberty, Diana, Venus. These are just a few of her names. Just like Nimrod, she's the wife of Nimrod, Semiramis. Cush had a daughter named Semiramis, whom he later married, his own daughter, and produced Nimrod. Okay, so that means that Semiramis is Nimrod's half-sister and mother. And then Nimrod turns around and marries Semiramis. So now his wife is also his half-sister and mother. You could walk into the Capitol Dome in Washington, D.C., look up into the womb of Isis, because that's what the Capitol Dome is, the womb of Isis, with the phallic symbol down the road of Osiris's missing piece, the Washington Monument. All right? This picture right here is called the apotheosis of George Washington. Look up in the Capitol Dome, and that's what you're going to see. Surrounded by 72, which is a high occult number, pentagrams, which are known as binding pentagrams. That's how the ancients believe they can, and the cult believes they can control demons. You got George right here in heaven. The apotheosis means ascending into godhood. That's what apotheosis means. Okay? If this is supposedly heaven, you might think you'd see, maybe the saints, see, Yeshua up there, see the angels, Michael, Gabriel. No, that's not what you see. You see Neptune. You see Vulcan. You see the Greek pantheon hanging up there with deified George in the Capitol building. And not to be outdone, when Abraham Lincoln died, they started putting out postcards and whatnot showing the apotheosis of Abraham Lincoln. I bet you've probably never seen this before. They've tucked it away. It used to be out in the outdoors. They put it inside a museum now. This is George Washington posing as a god. Which god? Zeus. This is a depiction of Zeus from the Temple of Zeus, which is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Also, it's the same pose as the occult symbol for Baphomet. Oh, this is a Christian nation. Yeah, okay. And if you look at the entire layout of Washington, D.C., it's all occult. Look at all the buildings. It's all after Greek mythology, too. But most notably, if you think about our founding of our nation, it's all about 13, isn't it? 13 colonies, 13 stripes, 13 stars, 13 this, 13 that, the Great Seal of the United States, 13 steps on the Great Pyramids, on the Great Seal. What the heck is an Egyptian pyramid doing on our currency in the first place? Right? What does that have to do with anything about our nation? Yeah. And by the way, that's not an eagle there either. Manly P. Hall, one of the most prolific writers of Freemasonry, says anytime they depict an eagle with a point on the back of its head, it's really a stylized phoenix. Aha, we fooled you. It's not an eagle. It's a phoenix. In Egyptian mythology, the phoenix was the Benu. The Benu was the dying and resurrecting soul bird of Osiris. Okay? 13 steps on the Great Seal's pyramid, 13 letters in the Latin phrase Annuit Coeptus, 13 letters in E Pluribus Unum, 13 stars above the eagle's head there in the shape of the Star of David, which has nothing to do with David. 13 bars on the shield, 13 leaves on the olive branches, 13 arrows, 13 original colonies, 13 stars, 13 stripes on the original Betsy Ross flag. Have you heard about the Betsy Ross flag? If you go look up on history.org, history.org just comes right out and tell you there's no evidence whatsoever to suggest that Betsy Ross had it, other than the fact that she was a flag maker. She did make flags. There's no evidence whatsoever that she's the originator of this design.
even though that's one of the myths we've all been taught growing up in school. History.org goes on to continue. We do, however, have a good idea about who originated the design. Credit for that achievement may go to Francis Hopkinson, a New Jersey representative to the Continental Congress and signer of the Declaration of Independence. Hopkinson was a talented man with a strong interest in designing symbols. See, symbols conceal for those who don't have eyes to see, and they reveal for those who do have eyes to see, which means all of the iconography contained within a symbol has to harmonize with itself for it to have a coherent message. This guy is all about designing symbols. He's the guy that designed the Great Seal. Oh, okay, Great Seal. Pyramid of Egypt, Phoenix dying and resurrecting soul bird of Osiris. 13. He's the guy that designed our flag. I was in the honor guard. And I was the guy in a full dress blues, and I carried the American flag with tremendous pride. That was like a real honor for me to do that. And I took great care in doing it, trying to do everything right and be as sharp as I could be. I cannot even look at that thing anymore. And I certainly am not pledging allegiance to it. No. Sorry, love my country, but patriotism, at least the way it's currently defined, is idolatry. And if you really get into what that flag actually represents, especially going all the way back to its founding, I want nothing to do with it. You know, it's a lot for me to say this. That now I just can't do it. We're trying to wake people up because there's going to be a deception that the scriptures say is going to be so powerful that even the elect can be deceived by.
For educational.
So this was a clip. The comments are saying by Rob Skiba or Skiba. I'm not exactly. I think it's Skiba. Regardless, we see that this District of Columbia is called Columbia, the goddess, right? And if you know anything about how America is supposed to be Babylon, right? Not saying that it is, just saying that there's a strong case that a lot of people are making, saying that the United States is Mystery Babylon, and that when Babylon falls in the future, that it's the United States, right? Now, what I'm saying is that Columbia, even though we don't see Columbia in any Greek mythology or any Roman deities, is based off of Greek and Roman beliefs. Columbia is a modern American personification of the United States, inspired in style by classic Greek and Roman allegorical traditions, but she has no role in Roman religion or mythology. Well, I think it's mighty strange how they chose this deity to be a national personification of the United States, but they take these Greek and Roman allegorical traditions to do so, right? Because we know that in the Bible, we see a lot of symbolism that Babylon in the Bible was Rome. So then now you take this Roman allegorical deity, right? And you place it over the United States. To me, that just seems crazy that we're going to take some Roman deity and then place it over the United States, as if Rome doesn't have anything to do with Babylon, as if Babylon doesn't have anything to do with the United States. I could just be reaching, guys. I could just be making something out of nothing. But I do know that many people say that America is a Christian nation. It's not. I think the population of America that is Christian is very, very small. Okay, so we have some facts here, which I don't believe all of this. It says approximately 62 to 68% of Americans identify as Christian. According to a recent data from major polling organizations, while data sources vary slightly based on survey methods, the Pew Research Center reports that 62% of U.S. adults are Christian, whereas Gallup estimates the figure around 66 to 68. I find that very hard to believe. Protestant, non-denominational, 40 to 45% of adults. Catholic, 19 to 22% of adults, and other Christian, including Mormons, Orthodox, and Jehovah's Witness, which those aren't Christians. I'm not going to say that Orthodox isn't. I don't know enough about them, but I know Mormons and Jehovah's Witness are not Christians. They're cults. They shouldn't be lumped in there, and I'm glad that it makes up only a 3% amount of this total figure. But it says that it's down from 78% in 2007. Now, we have to realize that people are saying they're Christian without truly being Christian. I personally, when I got locked up in 2011, I personally filled out in my info that I was a Christian, because they ask you all that stuff when you get locked up. They ask you if you're in a gang. They ask you what religion you are. They ask you if you have HIV. They ask you if you have any of they ask you all these questions and they put it into your file and they close it away. Now, when they asked me, I told them I was Christian, although I had nothing to do with a lifestyle of a Christian. I wasn't living to the word of God. I didn't even know Jesus was God. I didn't know nothing about the Trinity. I didn't know that Jesus was the only way to salvation. I had no clue of none of that, guys. So these numbers that we see here are probably inflated. Now, regardless of what they say, it still is not a Christian nation. It wasn't founded by Christians. It was founded by Freemasons. And so we see all this pentagram symbolism in the United States. Let's see if I can show you this. So as we see right here, this is Washington, D.C., and these streets just so happen to be conveniently shaped like a pentagram. Now, I believe there's also a compass in the streets. Now, this one might not be as easy to see, but the streets shape just where the nation's capital are have the shape of the compass that is so familiar in Freemason symbolism. Now, this iconography is everywhere for a reason, guys. And that's because they need to pledge their allegiance, but they also have to tell you what they're doing. They have to put it in your face. And so that way you can see it without being deceived. Now, as he pointed out in the video, the nation's capital is right here with the dome being a womb symbolically. And then down here, we have the Holocaust Memorial Museum, but we have the phallus symbol. Now down here, we have the phallus at the National Monument, which is a male anatomy symbol. And so they have to tell you what they're doing and they put it right in front of your face, guys. Now, this is something we could go on and on about for days, guys, but ultimately you have to realize that this is not a Christian nation. They put it right in your face. They pledge their allegiance to some satanic stuff. As Rob Skiba said in the video, why do we have a pyramid on our money? Why are we putting Illuminati symbols and Freemason symbols on our money, saying in God we trust? What God? They didn't say in Jesus we trust. So that's why you have to be careful, because when Lady Liberty, when the District of Lady Columbia or whatever is our deity for the United States, that tells me that this nation has pledged their allegiance to something other than Jesus Christ. And I, for one, I don't concur. I don't agree. I'm not rocking with none of this stuff. I pledge my allegiance to Jesus and Jesus Christ alone. So that's going to do it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, God bless.